Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter number 20, verse number 123. We will be continuing our reading from Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langayate Girim, Yat Kripa Tamam Vande, Shri Gurum Dinitarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. So chapter 20's title is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu instructs Sanātana Gosvāmī in the science of the absolute truth. Verse 123. Shastra Guru Atma Rupe Apanare Janana Krishna Mora Prabhu Trata Jivera Hai Jnana Snana, or I should say Jnana. The forgetful conditioned soul is educated by Krishna through the Vedic literatures, the realized spiritual master, and the super soul. Through these, he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is, and he can understand that Lord Krishna is his eternal master and deliverer from the clutches of Maya. In this way, one can acquire real knowledge of his conditional life and can come to understand how to attain liberation. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Being forgetful of his real position, the conditioned soul may take help from Shastra Guru and the super soul within his heart. Krishna is situated within everyone's heart as a super soul, as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita 18.61. Ishvara sarvabhutanam Hridadeshe Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Arudhani Mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. As the Shakta Avatar Vyasadeva, Krishna teaches the conditioned soul through the Vedic literatures. Krishna externally appears as the spiritual master and trains the conditioned soul to come to Krishna consciousness. When his original Krishna consciousness is revived, the conditioned soul is delivered from the material clutches. Thus, a conditioned soul is always helped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in three ways: by the scriptures, the spiritual master, and the super soul within the heart. I'll repeat. Thus, a conditioned soul is always helped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in three ways: by the scriptures, the spiritual master, and the super soul within the heart. The Lord is the deliverer of the conditioned soul and is accepted as the Supreme Lord of all living entities. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita 18.66, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishami Ma Shucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This same instruction is found throughout all Vedic literatures. Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru act as the representative of Krishna. And the Krishna consciousness movement is also taking place all over the universe. Whoever takes advantage of this opportunity becomes liberated. Now moving on to verse number 124. Veda Shastra kahe sambandha videya prayojana Krishna prapya sambandha bhakti praptyera sadhana. The Vedic literatures give information about the living entity's eternal relationship with Krishna, which is called sambandha. The living entity's understanding of this relationship and his acting accordingly is called abhideya. Returning home back to Godhead is the ultimate goal of life and is called prayojan. Verse number 125. Abhideya nama bhakti prema prayojana purushartha shiromani prema mahadhana. Devotional service or sense activity for the satisfaction of the Lord is called abhideya because it can develop one's original love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. This goal is the living entity's topmost interest and greatest wealth. Thus one attains the platform of transcendental loving service unto the Lord. Purport: the conditioned soul is bewildered by the external material energy which fully engages him in sense gratification in various ways due to engagement in material activities. One's original Krishna consciousness is covered, however, as the Supreme Father of all living entities. Krishna wants his sons to return home, back to Godhead. Therefore, he personally comes to deliver Vedic literatures like the Bhagavad-Gita. He engages his confidential servants who serve as spiritual masters and enlighten the conditioned living entities. Being present in everyone's heart, the Lord gives the living entities the conscience whereby they can accept the Vedas and the spiritual master. In this way, the living entity can understand his constitutional position and his relationship with the Supreme Lord. As personally enunciated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad-Gita 15.15, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyah. Through the study of Vedanta, one may become fully aware of his relationship with the Supreme Lord and act accordingly. In this way, one may ultimately attain the platform of loving service to the Lord. It is in the living entity's best interest to understand the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, the living entities have forgotten that this is in their best interest, and therefore Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nate viduhu swartha gatim hi Vishnum. This is from Bhagavatam 7.5.31. Everyone wants to achieve life's ultimate goal, but due to being absorbed in the material energy, we waste our time with sense gratification. Through the study of the Vedic literatures, of which the essence is the Bhagavad-Gita, one comes to Krishna consciousness. Thus one engages in devotional service called Abhideya. When the living entity actually develops love of Godhead, he has reached the ultimate goal, Prayojan. In other words, one who becomes fully Krishna consciousness has attained the perfection of life. Verse number 126. Krishna Madhurya Sevananda Praptir Karana Krishna Seva Kare Ar Krishna Rasa Aswadana. This is very popular verse. It's quoted very often by the speakers of the Shastras. When one attains the transcendental bliss of an intimate relationship with Krishna, he renders service to him and tastes the mellows of Krishna consciousness. Verse 127. Ihate drishtanta yaiche daridrera ghare sarvajna asi dukha dekhi puchaye tahare. The following parable may be given. Once a learned astrologer came to the house of a poor man and seeing his distressed condition questioned him. Purport: sometimes we go to an astrologer or palmist when we are in distressed condition or when we want to know the future. The living entity in conditioned life is always distressed by the threefold miseries of material existence. Under the circumstances, he is inquisitive about his position. For instance, Sanātana Gosvāmī approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, to ask him why he was in a distressed condition. This is the position of all conditioned souls. We are always in a distressed condition, and an intelligent man naturally becomes inquisitive. This position is called Brahma Jigyasa. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. This is from Vedanta Sutra 1.1.1. Brahma here refers to the Vedic literature. One should consult the Vedic literature to know why the conditioned soul is always in a distressed condition. The Vedic literatures are meant to free the conditioned soul from the miserable conditions of material existence. In this chapter, the story of the astrologer Sarvajna and the poor man is very instructive. Verse 128. Tumi kene dukhi tomar ache pitridhana tomare na kahila anyatra chadila jivana. The astrologer asked, why are you unhappy? Your father was very wealthy, but he did not disclose his wealth to you because he died elsewhere. Verse 129. Sarvajanera vakye kare dhanera uddeshe aiche veda purana jive Krishna Upadeshe. Just as the words of the astrologer Sarvajna gave the news of the poor man's treasure, the Vedic literatures advise one about Krishna consciousness when one is inquisitive to know why he is in a distressed material condition. Verse 130. Sarva Janera Vakya Mooladhana Anubandha Sarva Shastre Upadeshe Shri Krishna Sambandha. By the words of the astrologer, the poor man's connection with the treasure was established. Similarly, the Vedic literature advises us that our real connection is with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: in the Bhagavad-Gita 7.26, Sri Krishna says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani chabhutani mamatu vedana kaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I know all the living entities, but me no one knows. Thus Krishna knows the cause and the distressed condition of the conditioned soul. He therefore descends from his original position to instruct the conditioned soul and inform them about his forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Krishna exhibits himself in his relationships in Vrindavan and at the battle of Kurukshetra so that people will be attracted to him and will return home, back to Godhead. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad-Gita that he is the proprietor of all universe, the enjoyer of everything, that be and the friend of everyone. Bhuktaram Yagitapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam. This is Bhagavad-Gita 5.29. If we revive our original intimate relationship with Krishna, our distressed condition in the material world will be mitigated. Everyone is trying to adjust to the distressed condition of material world existence, but the basic problems cannot be solved unless one is in an intimate relationship with Krishna. So our anchor is Krishna until and unless we are connected to Krishna, our problems will never go away. Verse number 131, Bapera dhana ache jnane dhana nahi paye, tabe sarvajna kahe tare praptira upaya. Although being assured of his father's treasure, the poor man cannot acquire his treasure by such knowledge alone. Therefore, the astrologer had to inform him of the means whereby he could actually find the treasure. Verse 132, Esthane ache dhana yadi dakshine khudibe bimarula baruli uthibe dhana na paibe. The astrologer said, the treasure is in this place, but if you dig toward the southern side, the wasps and drones will rise and you will not get your treasure. Verse 133, Paschime kudibe taha yaksha ekahaya sevigna karibe dhana dhanehatana padaya. If you dig it on the western side, there is a ghost who will create such a disturbance that your hands will not even touch the treasure. Verse 134, Uttare kudile ache Krishna ajagare gare dhananahi pape kudite glibe sabare. If you dig on the northern side, there's a big black snake that will devour you if you attempt to dig up the treasure. Verse 135, Purvadike tate mati mati alpa kudite dhanera jari padiveka tomara hadete. However, if you dig up a small quantity of dirt on the eastern side, your hands will immediately touch the pot of the treasure. Purport: the Vedic literatures, including the Puran, state the following according to the position of the conditioned soul. There are different processes: Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, the yogic process, and the Bhakti process, yoga process. Karma Kand is compared to wasps and drones that will simply bite if one takes a shelter of them. Jnanakand, the speculative process, is simply like a ghost who creates mental disturbance. Yoga, the mystic process, is compared to a black snake that devours people by impersonal cultivation of the Kaivalya. Sorry. However, if one takes to Bhakti Yoga, he becomes quickly successful. In other words, through Bhakti Yoga, one's hands touch the hidden treasure without difficulty. The goal of all the revealed scriptures and the Vedic injunctions is Krishna, as he himself said in the Bhagavad-Gita 15.15, Vedeshcha Sarvedaham Vedya. Since the Vedas enjoin, excuse me, Vedas enjoin one to search out Krishna and take shelter at his lotus feet, and since no Vedic process but devotional service will enable one to do this, one has to take to the devotional service according to the Bhagavad-Gita 18.55. Only the bhakti process is said to be definitive. Bhaktyamam avijnat janati. This is the conclusive statement of the Vedas, and one has to accept the process if one is serious in searching for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following statement. The eastern side represents devotional service to Lord Krishna. The southern side represents the process of fruitive activity, the Karam Kanda, which ends in material gain. The western side represents Jnana Kanda, the process of mental speculation, or sometimes Siddhi Kanda, the mystic yoga. The northern side represents mystic yoga, or sometimes the speculative method. It is only the eastern side, devotional service, that enables one to attain life's real goal. On the southern side, there are fruitive activities by which one is subject to the punishment of Yamraj when one follows the system of the where was I? Okay, we've done that. Yeah. The mystic yoga process is compared to black snake that devours the living entity and injects him with poison. The ultimate goal of yoga system is to become one with the absolute. This means finishing one's personal existence, but the spiritual part and the parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has an eternal individual existence. The Bhagavad-Gita confirms that the individual soul existed in the past, is existing in the present, and will continue to exist as an individual in the future. Artificially trying to become one with the absolute is suicidal. One cannot annihilate his natural condition. A yaksha, a protector of riches, will not allow anyone to take away riches for enjoyment. Such a demon will simply create disturbances. In other words, a devotee will not depend on his material resources but on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give real protection. This is called Rakshi Yatiti Vishwasaha, or in Bengali poetry of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharanagati, Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Vishwasa Palana. The surrendered soul must accept the fact that his real protector is Krishna, not his material acquisitions. Considering all these points, devotional service to Krishna is the real treasure house for the living entity. When one comes to the platform of devotional service, he always remains opulent in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is bereft of devotional service is swallowed by the black snake of yoga system and bitten by the wasps and drones of fruitive activity, and he suffers consequent material miseries. Sometimes the living entity is misled into trying to merge with the spiritual existence. Okay. Sometimes the living entity is misled into trying to merge into spiritual existence, thinking himself as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that when he comes to the spiritual platform, he will be disturbed and will again return to the material platform according to the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32 Ye ne Ravindaksha Vimukta Maninas Tvai Ashtabhavad Avishuddha Buddhayah Aruyah Kricharena Param Padam Tatah Patanti Adho Anadrita Yushmad Angrayaha. Such people may become sannyasis, but unless they take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they will return to the material platform to perform philanthropic activities. In this way, one's spiritual life is lost. This is to be understood as being devoured by the black snake. Verse 136 Aije Shastra kahe karma jnana yoga tyaji bhakti Krishna vasa haya bhakti tanre bhaji. The revealed scriptures conclude that one should give up the fruitive activities, speculative knowledge in the mystic yoga system and instead take to the devotional service by which Krishna can be fully satisfied. Okay, verse 137 Na sadhyati mam yogo na sankhyam dharma uddhava na swadhyayas tapastyago yatha bhakti mamurjita. With the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna said, My dear Uddhav, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through the studies of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or the acceptance of sannyasis, one can satisfy me, or as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. So Krishna is saying to Uddhava that neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas, one can satisfy me, as much as they by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. So Krishna is declaring himself in this verse again that nothing satisfies Krishna more than the devotional service. But this and the following verse are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.22-21. Okay. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.20-21. Explanation of this verse is given in Adi Lila 17.76. Verse 20. Bhaktyaham ekaya grihaya shraddhatma. Lost it. Bhaktyaham ekaya grihaya shraddhatma priya satam. Bhakti okay. Verse number 138. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya shraddhatma priya satam. Bhakti punati mananishtha svapakam api sambhavat. Being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This Bhakti Yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This Bhakti Yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being. This Bhakti system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a house being born among dog eaters. That is to say, everyone can be so Krishna is telling us in this verse that devotional services is what pleases him very much, because Bhakti Yoga system increases our attachment with Krishna and purifies everyone, no matter which situation they were born into. Could be a dog eater. So we are being given the assurance that everyone can be actually liberated to the position of the spiritual platform by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Verse 139, Ataiva Bhakti Krishna Prapti Upaya Abhideya Bali Tare Sarva Shastre Gaya Kaya. The conclusion is that the devotional service is the only means for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This system is therefore called Abhideya. This is the verdict of all the revealed scriptures. Purport, as Lord Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita 18.55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by the devotional service, and when one is in fully consciousness of me by such devotional service, he can enter the kingdom of God. The aim of the life is to get rid of the material conditioning and enter into spiritual existence. Although the Shastras prescribe different methods for different men, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says that one ultimately must accept the path of devotional service as the assured path of spiritual advancement. Devotional service to the Lord is the only process and actually confirmed by where was I? The aim of life is to get rid of all the material conditioning and enter into the spiritual existence. Although the Shastras prescribe different methods for different men, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says that one ultimately must accept the path of the devotional service as the assured path of the spiritual advancement. Devotional service to the Lord is the only process actually confirmed by the Lord. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vaja aham tvam sarvapapavya mokshashamashtaja. This is verse 18.66 from Bhagavad-Gita. One must become a devotee if one wants to return home back to Godhead and become eternally blissful. Verse number 140. Dhana paile yaiche sukha bhoga phala paya sukha bhoga haite dukha apani palaya. When one actually becomes rich, he naturally enjoys all kinds of happiness. When one is actually in a happy mood, he distrustful of all distressful conditions. When one actually becomes rich, he naturally enjoys all kinds of happiness. When one is actually in a happy mood, all distressful conditions go away by themselves. No extraneous endeavor is needed. Verse 141. Taiche bhakti phale Krishna prema pajaya prema Krishna svada haile bhava nasha paya. Since the result of activity Taiche bhakti phale Krishna prema upajaya preme Krishna swada haile bhavanasha paya. Similarly, as a result of bhakti, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens. When one is so situated that he can taste the association of Lord Krishna, Material existence, the repetition of birth and death, comes to an end. Verse 142. Daridre nasha bhavakshaya premera phala. Okay. Let's go for the meaning now. Let's read the verse once again. Daridre nasha bhavakshaya premera phalam naya prema sukha bhoga mukhya prayojanaya. The goal of love of Godhead is not to become materially rich or free from material bondage. The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and to enjoy the transcendental bliss. Purport. The results of devotional service are certainly not material benefits for liberation from material bondage. The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and enjoy transcendental bliss. Purport. The results of devotional service are certainly not material benefits or liberation from material bondage. The goal of devotional service is the eternal. Right. So the goal of devotional service is to be eternally situated in the loving service of the Lord and to enjoy spiritual bliss from the service. One is said to be in a poverty-stricken condition when one forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to end such a life of poverty in order to automatically end the miserable conditions of material existence. One is automatically liberated from material enjoyment when one tastes the service of Krishna. One is automatically liberated from material enjoyment when one tastes the service of Krishna. One who does not have to endeavor one does not have to endeavor separately too. For the opulence automatically comes to the pure devotee even though he does not desire material happiness. Verse 143. Veda Shastre kahe sambandha abhideya prayojana Krishna Krishna bhakti prema tina mahadhana. In the Vedic literatures, Krishna is the central point of attraction and his service is our activity. To attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore, Krishna's service and love of Krishna are the three great riches of life. Verse 144. Vedati sakala shastre Krishna mukhaya sambandha tandra jnana anus. In the revealed scriptures, beginning with the Vedas, the central point of attraction is Krishna. When complete knowledge of him is realized, the bondage of Maya, the illusory energy, is automatically broken. So just to remind you what the verse was. Verse was Vedadi Sakara Shastra Krishna Mukhya Sambandha Tanraj Jale. When the complete knowledge of him is realized, the bondage of Maya, the illusory energy, is automatically broken. Verse 145. Vyamohaya characharasya jagataste te purnagamas tam evahi devatam paramekam jalapantu kalpavadhi siddhante punareka eva bhagyavan Vishnu samastagama Vyapareshu vivechana vyatikara niteshu nishish. I'm not able to say that word today. Nishchiyate. Nishchiyate means to make it certain, or make it like a promise. There are many types of Vedic literatures and supplementary Puranas. In each of them, there are particular demigods who are spoken of as child demigods. This is just to create an illusion for moving and removing living entities. Let them perpetually engage in such imagination. However, one has an analytically only one analytical studies all these Vedic literature collectively. He comes to this conclusion that Lord Vishnu is the only one and only supreme personality of Godhead. Purport: this is a verse from the Padma Puran. Verse 146. Mukhya Gauna Vritti Kimava Anvaya Vyatirike Vedara Pratityana Kevala Kahaye Krishna Ke. When one accepts the Vedic literatures by interpretation or even by dictionary meaning, directly or indirectly, the ultimate declaration of the Vedic knowledge points to Lord Krishna. Verses 147 and 148, they're together. Kim vidate, kim achashte, kim anudaya viklapayet, iti asya hridayam loke nanyo madveda kaschana. Next one is mam vidate abhidhate mam vikalpyayo poihate ihi aham एतावान सर्व वेदार्थः शब्द आस्थाय माम भीरम मया मात्रम अनुदयन्ते प्रतिसिद्धया prasidati. Lord Krishna says, what is the purpose of all Vedic literatures? On whom do they focus? Who is the object of all speculation? Outside of me, no one knows these things. Now, you should know that all these activities are aimed at ordaining and setting forth me. The purpose of the Vedic literatures is to know me by different speculations, either by indirect understanding or by dictionary understanding. Everyone is speculating about me. The essence of all the Vedic literatures is to distinguish me from Maya. By considering the illusory energy, one comes to the platform of understanding me. In this way, one becomes free from speculation about the Vedas and comes to me as the conclusion. Thus, one is satisfied. Purport: these two verses are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 11th Canto, chapter 21, verses 42 and 43. When Uddhava asked Krishna about the purpose of Vedic speculation, and the Lord informed him of the process of understanding the Vedic literature, the Vedas are composed of Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. One who analytically studies the purpose of the Vedas understands that by Karma Kanda, sacrificial activity, one comes to the conclusion of Jnana Kanda, speculative knowledge, and that after that speculation, one comes to the conclusion that worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate. When one comes to this conclusion, he becomes fully satisfied. Verse 149. Krishnera Swarupa Ananta Vaibhava Parachit Shakti Maya Shakti Jiva Shakti Ar. The transcendental form of Lord Krishna is unlimited and also has unlimited opulence. He possesses the internal potency, external potency, and the marginal potency. Verse 150. Vaikuntha Brahmanda Gana Shakti Karyahaya Swarupa Shakti Shakti Karyera Krishna Samsar Samashraya. The material and the spiritual world are transformations of Krishna's external and internal potencies, respectively. Therefore, Krishna is the original source of both the material and the spiritual manifestation. Verse 151. Dashame dashamam lakshyam ashritashraya vigraham Shri Krishnakhyam param dhama jagadhama namami tat. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the 10th object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of all surrendered souls. He is known as Shri Krishna and he is the ultimate source of all the universes. Let me offer my obeisances unto him. Purport. This is a quotation from the Bhavartha Deepika Sridhar Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.1. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of the Ashray Tattva Shri Krishna. There are two Tattvas, Ashray Tattva and the Ashrita Tattva. Ashray Tattva is the objective and Ashray Tattva is the subjective. Since the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna are the shelter of all devotees, Shri Krishna is called the Param Dham. In the Bhagavad-Gita 10.12, it is stated, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Everything is resting under the lotus feet of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.58, it is stated, Samashrita ye pada pallavam Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Murare. Under the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, the entire Mahat Tattva is existing. Since everything is under Shri Krishna's protection, Shri Krishna is called the Ashray Tattva, everything else is called the Ashray Tattva. The material creation is also called the Ashray Tattva. Liberation from material bondage and the attainment of the spiritual platform are also Ashray Tattva. Krishna is the only Ashray Tattva. In the beginning of the creation, there are Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. There are also Ashray Tattva. Krishna is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. To understand Krishna perfectly, one has to make an analytical study of Ashray Tattva and Ashrit Tattva. Verse 152. Krishnera Sarupa Vichara Shuna Sanātana Advaya Jnana Tattva Vraje Vrajendra Nandana. O Sanātana, please hear about the eternal form of Lord Krishna. He is the absolute truth, devoid of duality, but present in Vrindavan as son of Nanda Maharaj. Verse 153. Sarva Adi Sarva Amshi Kishora Shekhara Chidananda Deha Sarvashraya Sarveshwara. Krishna is the original source of everything and the sum total of everything. He appears as the supreme youth and his whole body is composed of spiritual bliss. He is the shelter of everything and master of everyone. Purport. Krishna is the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, including Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. He is the ultimate goal of Vaishnava philosophy. Everything emanates from him. His body is completely spiritual and the source of all spiritual being. Although he is the source of everything, he himself has no source. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha. Although he is the supreme source of everyone, he is still always a fresh youth. And we can agree to that. We have never seen any vigra of Lord or any even a painting where Lord is depicted as not as a fresh youth looking like. Verse number 154. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is also known as Govinda, is a supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Purport. This is the first verse of the 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita. Verse 155. Swayam Bhagwan Krishna Govinda Paranama Sarvaishwarya Purna Yanra Goloka Vidyadhama. The original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. His original name is Govinda. He is full of all opulences and his eternal abode is known as Golok Vrindavan. Verse 156. Ete chamsha kalaha pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indraris Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti yuge yuge. Of all these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary forms or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars, but Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features. When the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra, purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. See also Adi Lila chapter 2, verse 67. Prabhupada writes in the purport. Verse number 157. Jnana Yoga Bhakti Tina Sadhanera Vashe Brahma Atma Bhagavan Trividha Prakashe. There are three kinds of spiritual processes for understanding this absolute truth: the process of speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and bhakti yoga. According to these three processes, the absolute truth is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. Verse 158. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti shabdyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. Those who are interested in the impersonal Brahman effulgence, which is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can attain that goal by speculative knowledge. Those who are interested in practicing mystic yoga can attain the localized aspect of Paramatma, as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita 18.61. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridadeshe Arjun Tishtati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated within the heart as Paramatma. He witnesses the activities of the living entities and gives them permission to act. For a further explanation, see Adi Lila chapter 2, verse 11. Verse 159. Brahma Anga Kanti Tanra Nirvishesha Prakashe Suryat Yena Charma Chakshe Jyotirmaya Bhase. The manifestation of the impersonal Brahman effulgence, which is without variety, is the rays of Krishna's bodily effulgence. It is exactly like the sun. When the sun is seen by our ordinary eyes, it appears to consist simply of effulgence. Verse 160. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagat andakoti koti vishwa ashesha vasudhadi vibhuti bhinnam tad brahma nishkalam anantam ashesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. Purport. This verse is quoted from the Brahma Samhita 5.40. For an explanation, refer to the Adi Lila chapter 2, verse 14. So now we understand why Caitanya Charitamrita is like postdoctoral study, because it's all the Shastras are even more elaborately explained in this Shastra, the Caitanya Charitamrita. Verse 161. Paramatma yen ho teno Krishnera eke amsha atmara atma haya Krishna sarva avatamsa. The Paramatma, the Supersoul feature, is a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original soul of all the living entities. Krishna is the source of the Paramatma. Verse 162. Krishnam enam avehi tvam atmanam akhilatmanam jagaditaya so apit atra deva bhati mayaya. You should know that Krishna to be the original source of all the Atmas, that is the living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has only done this by the strength of his own internal potency. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.55. Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukadeva Gosvāmī why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Shukadeva Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies, but that Atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body by all means, because within the body the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body, Deha, Atma, Buddhi. Thus, the soul is subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. When a living entity, by his intelligence, reawakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body, but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with the knowledge, he is no longer labors under attachment to the body and everything related to the body. Janasya moho yam aham mameti. Material existence, wherein one thinks I am the body and this belongs to me, is also illusory. One must redirect his attraction to Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.7 says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahetukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Verse 163. Atha va bahunayatena kim gyantena dvarjuna vishtabhyaham idam krishtanam skritsanam ekam shena sito jagat. But what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport. This is a quotation from Bhagavad-Gita 10.42. Verse 164. Bhakti Bhagwanera Anubhava Purna Rupa Eka I Vigrahe Tandra Ananta Swarupa. Only by the devotional service one can understand that this transcendental form of the Lord, which is perfect in all respects. Although his form is one, he can expand his form into unlimited numbers by his supreme will. Verse 165. Swayam Rupa Tade Ekatma Rupa Avesha Nama Prathamai Teen Rupe Rahena Bhagwan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in three principal forms: Swayam Rupa, Tad Ekatma Rupa, and Avesha Rupa. Purpose. Sri Rupa Gosvāmī has described the Swayam Rupa in his Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purvakhanda, verse 12. Ananya Pekshi Yad Rupam Swayam Rupaha Sa Uchyate. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that does not depend on other forms is called the Swayam Rupa, the original form. This form is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam 1.3.28. Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Krishna's form as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan is the original form of the Personality of Godhead. Swayam Rupa is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There is nothing superior to Govinda. He is the ultimate source and the cause of all causes. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita 7.7, where the Lord says, Mattaha Parataram Nanye, there is no truth superior to me. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are also described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purvakhanda, verse 14. Yad Rupam Tad Abhedena Swarupena Virajate Akritya Bhir Anyadrik Sa Tad Ekatma Rupakaha. The Tad Ekatma Rupa form exists simultaneously with the Swayam Rupa form and are non-different. At the same time, their bodily features and specific activities appear to be different. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are divided into two categories, Swamsha and Vilasa. Lord Krishna Avesha form are also explained in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purva 18. Jnana Shakti Adi Kalaya Yatra Vishto Janardana Ta Avesha Nikadyante Jiva Eva Mahatmaha. The living entity who is specifically empowered by the Lord with knowledge or strength is called Avesha Rupa. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Ante 7.11, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tar Pravartana. Unless a devotee is specifically empowered by the Lord, he cannot preach the holy name of the Lord all over the world. This is an explanation of the word Avesha Rupa. So we will continue our reading from verse number 166 next time. Thank you for joining, and thank you for bearing with my not so good quality of voice today. Hopefully it will be better next time we read. Hariam Tat Sat, Hare Krishna, Krishna's Kaviraj Gosvāmī ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vijaya Ekadashi ki jai, which is being celebrated in India and elsewhere. It was celebrated yesterday. Hariam Tat Sat, Hare Krishna.